Noel Brick. Strong Minds. Unlock the power of elite sports psychology. It's tempting to imagine elite athletes powering through on muscle and grit alone. In truth, their real edge is mental. At the top level, success comes from knowing exactly what to think and when to get the best from body and mind. Top performers read situations, adapt instantly, and choose the right mental tool for the moment. In a soccer final, that might mean steadying the mind before a decisive penalty. In a marathon, it could be breaking the distance into manageable chunks when fatigue hits. The same applies off the field. Whether you're in a high-stakes job interview, leading a demanding project, or navigating a day when everything seems to go wrong. These skills aren't innate. They're learned, refined, and practiced until they become instinctive. The good news is you can develop them too, without years of trial and error. By adopting the mental habits of world-class athletes, you can stay motivated, think clearly, and perform at your best under pressure. Whether you're chasing a finish line, closing a deal, or simply trying to keep going when it would be easier to quit. Ready to equip yourself with the tools that lead high performers to success? Let's get started. Your mind decides the game, not the scoreboard. In sport and in life, things are rarely inherently good or bad. It's how we interpret them that's key. Our perspective shapes our emotions and ultimately our performance. As Shakespeare's Hamlet famously puts it, there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Imagine your friend offers you a slice of cake. If it's your birthday, you'll see it as a thoughtful gesture and feel warmth and appreciation. If you're trying to eat more healthily, though, you might think they're deliberately disregarding your goals and feel irritation instead. The event is identical. All that's changed is the meaning you assign to it. This same principle applies under pressure. Falling behind late in a match can feel like a devastating failure, or an opportunity to show grit, adapt, and surprise the opponent. Many celebrated comebacks have started with exactly that kind of mental shift. The ability to make this shift is called reappraisal, deliberately choosing a more constructive way to view a situation. It isn't about denying reality, but rather finding the perspective that best supports effective action. Neuroimaging studies show that reappraisal reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, while increasing activity in the prefrontal cortex, which is linked to reasoning and planning. This balance produces a calmer, more focused state in which better decisions come more easily. Imagine a professional hockey player before her debut game. If she thinks, "I'll make mistakes," her anxiety will spike and her performance will likely suffer. If she reappraises with, "I've trained hard and earned my place," her nerves may remain, but they become manageable, giving her a better chance to perform well. Reappraisal is a habit that develops with practice. Begin by noticing the automatic thoughts that arise in difficult moments. Write down the situation, your initial thoughts, and the emotions that follow. Then create alternative interpretations that could lead to more useful emotions. Over time, you'll build a repertoire of responses ready for when the pressure's on. You can also reframe physical signs of stress. A racing heart and sweaty palms don't have to mean panic. They can indicate your body is preparing to perform. NFL kicker Stephen Gostkowski treats pre-game nerves as a sign of readiness, not fear. This shift applies beyond sport. In a presentation, an important meeting, or an exam, the circumstances may remain the same, but your performance can change entirely. With practice, stress becomes fuel, doubt becomes determination, and pressure becomes possibility. Big goals need stepping stones, not giant leaps. In the 1990s, Steve Holman was one of the fastest American milers, twice ranked in the world's top 5 and an Olympian in the 1,500 meters. His life was defined by training and racing, until injury forced a rethink. In 2000, a stress fracture kept him out of the Sydney Olympics. At 31, he gave himself one more year to compete, but another fracture ended that plan. What followed was what he calls his wilderness phase. With no clear purpose, he slept late, ate donuts, and even failed to land a job at Barnes & Noble, despite his Olympic credentials. The turning point came when he leaned on a core strength: being a good student. He applied to Wharton for an MBA, even without a business background. It wasn't a clear path to his future role at Vanguard, where he now leads a 55-person team managing $30 billion. But it was the next step, and that was enough. The lesson here is clear. You don't have to see the final destination before moving forward. Long-term goals are reached through smaller, deliberate milestones. The first step is knowing your strengths. Sport develops qualities like perseverance, focus, and teamwork. Strengths profiling, a technique used with athletes and even homeless youth, helps you identify these traits by looking back at times you've succeeded. The aim is to use those skills in new contexts, just as Holman transferred his discipline and leadership from track to business. From there, you can map a route forward with a 5-step career planning strategy. Draw a timeline from your past into your future. Mark key moments, victories, setbacks, turning points. Then look at your present. List the main areas of your life, such as work, family, and health. Rank each for importance, time spent, and stress. Pie charts often reveal gaps between what matters most and where your energy goes. Next, plot future milestones, what you want to achieve in 1, 3, or 10 years. Identify the stepping stones in between. Analyze your resources, such as skills or support networks, and your barriers, like a lack of knowledge in a field. Finally, ask, what can I do today? For Holman, it was enrolling in business school. For you, it might be joining a club, signing up for a course, or finding a mentor. Small, intentional steps taken with self-awareness turn uncertainty into progress. Over time, they build the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Fear shrinks when you shift from threat to challenge. Fear can be paralyzing. For some, as a number of studies have shown, speaking in public actually triggers more anxiety than the idea of death. The same physiological storm, dry throat, shallow breathing, racing mind, can hit before a job interview, a sports final, or the first day in a new role. At its core, fear often comes from the belief that the demands of a situation outweigh our ability to meet them. Steve Holman, the American miler whose story we touched on earlier, lived this. In 1992, weeks after winning the NCAA 1500-meter title, he made the U.S. Olympic team and was hailed as the next great American miler. But the label wasn't motivating. It felt like a weight. At national championships, he underperformed, despite being more accomplished than most competitors. The problem wasn't talent, it was appraisal. Holman saw big races not as exciting challenges, but as threats, tests he might fail in front of the world. The same mental mechanics apply in everyday life. Picture a public speech. On one side of the mental scale are the demands: impress the audience, speak flawlessly. On the other side are your perceived resources, your speaking skills, composure, preparation. When you think the demands outweigh your resources, fear dominates. When you believe you can meet or exceed them, excitement takes over, and performance improves. 3 factors tilt that balance. First is your goal focus. Chasing outcome goals, beating rivals or proving others right, often invites threat responses. A better approach is mastery goals, improving against your own standards, learning skills, and focusing on controllable actions. In a race, that might mean concentrating on pace and form instead of your competitor's position. In a presentation, it could be aiming to deliver your key points clearly rather than dazzling the crowd. Second is your sense of control. Dwelling on what you can't control, judges' opinions or opponents' tactics, fuels anxiety. Focusing on what you can control, your preparation, mindset, and execution, boosts calm and clarity. Third is your self-belief. Confidence can't be faked. It comes from consistent preparation and practice. Holman eventually used the mental tools he'd honed in sport to succeed in a new career at Vanguard. Early on, he felt cautious and unsure, but as his skills and familiarity grew, so did his belief, and with it, his performance. Fear doesn't disappear, but reframing it as a challenge shifts your body and mind into a state that supports rather than sabotages you. Whether you're stepping up to a start line, a stage, or a new opportunity, the key is to adjust your goals, control what you can, and build belief through work. The demands stay the same, Your response changes everything. The right words in your head can change the result in your body. We all talk to ourselves. Sometimes it's automatic chatter that pops up without warning. Thoughts like, "I can't do this," or "this is too hard." Other times it's deliberate. A pep talk before a big moment, or a quick reminder to focus on what matters. That inner voice, known as self-talk, can be the difference between giving up and pushing through. In sport, self-talk tends to be either motivational or instructional. Motivational statements build belief and effort. Think, "I've got this," or "let's go." Instructional self-talk is more like a mental cue. Stay relaxed in a tennis serve, or lock in before a football snap. NFL wide receiver Randall Cobb has been heard on the sidelines asking himself, "Who do you want to be? Do you want to be great?" before gathering his focus with short, sharp instructions. The benefits aren't just feel-good theory. In a study at Bangor University, cyclists who were trained to use personalized motivational phrases, like "feeling good" early in the ride and "push through this" in the tough final minutes, lasted 18% longer before exhaustion than those who had no self-talk strategy. Without it, performance stayed flat or even dipped. The marathon is another testing ground. Research shows runners often hit a psychological wall around mile 20, when the urge to stop is strongest. In one study, runners trained to counter that low point with statements like, "Stay calm, you will do it," and "You'll be proud if you finish," recorded faster times than equally fatigued runners without self-talk training. The negative thoughts were still there, but the prepared inner voice acted as a buffer. It's worth noting that not all negative self-talk is bad. Telling yourself, "That's not good enough," might light a competitive fire. What matters is how you interpret the message. If it spurs you to dig deeper, it can be useful. If it drains you, it's time to reframe it into something that fuels action. Changing your self-talk takes practice. First, notice the unhelpful phrases that surface under pressure. Then replace them with words that keep you engaged in the task. Either motivational, "I can do this," or instructional, "smooth and steady." Personalization matters. Generic phrases won't stick when the going gets brutal. Your brain responds best to statements you've chosen and rehearsed. The same approach can help in a job interview, a tough meeting, or a long project. So the next time you feel yourself faltering, try speaking to yourself like a great coach would. Clear, focused, and with belief. The right words, repeated at the right time, can carry you further than you think. Quitting is sometimes wise, but persistence is a skill you can learn. There are moments, in sport as in life, when quitting feels inevitable. The pain is sharp, the road ahead looks impossibly long, and the mind is busy writing reasons to stop. And truth be told, sometimes stopping is the right choice. Other times, that urge to quit robs you of the satisfaction and growth that comes from pushing through. The trick is knowing which is which. One way to decide is the decisional balance tool. Draw a page with 4 quadrants. Top left, benefits of quitting. Think, more time for family, or freeing energy for other goals. Top right, costs of quitting. That could be frustration, lost momentum, or regret. Bottom left, benefits of continuing. For example, pride, mastery, future rewards. Bottom right, costs of continuing. Maybe it's the risk to your health, stress, or neglecting other priorities. When you see all sides, the choice becomes clearer. Olympic skier Kickan Randall used this process when she put cancer treatment ahead of running the 2018 New York City Marathon. The same method can stop you chasing an unreachable goal, or strengthen your resolve to see a tough but achievable one through. Resilience plays a big part here. It's not a fixed trait, but a set of skills you develop. Chunking time into manageable pieces, focusing on what you can control, adjusting goals when needed, and maintaining helpful self-talk. These tools keep you moving when most people stop. Alvina Begay, a 2-time Olympic marathon trials qualifier and dietitian on the Navajo Nation, used those same skills during one of the toughest stretches of her life. When COVID-19 hit, her community faced huge challenges. No running water for a third of households, widespread diabetes and obesity, and close-knit cultural practices that made distancing difficult. Misinformation and overconfidence added to the problem. Begay's platform as an elite runner gave her influence, and she chose to use it. She reframed public health measures in terms her community valued, linking them to the tradition of rising early to run toward the east, caring for body and mind, and building strength through hard effort. Her message was simple: don't quit on the measures that save lives. Then came a personal blow, her father's stroke, with him hospitalized hours away. Drawing on her athlete's mindset, she reminded her family to focus on small wins, a sign of progress in his recovery, a day without new losses. In her words, things are bad, but there's still plenty to be grateful for. Whether you're in a race, a crisis, or a drawn-out struggle, the decision to keep going or step away deserves thought, not impulse. Use the decisional balance to weigh the costs and benefits. If you choose to continue, lean on resilient skills. They won't make the journey painless, but they'll give you the strength to take the next step. In this Blink to Strong Minds by Noel Brick, you've learned that success in sport and life depends as much on the mind as the body. Reframing challenges can turn stress into fuel, while breaking big ambitions into smaller, deliberate steps builds steady momentum. Shifting from threat to challenge sharpens focus and confidence, and intentional, personalized self-talk strengthens endurance and resilience. Using decisional balance helps weigh quitting against persevering, and consistent use of mental tools develops resilience, transforming adversity into an opportunity to move forward with purpose. Okay, that's it for this Blink. We hope you enjoyed it.